Hello, thanks for joining. Good to see everybody again. Yeah, I was just looking into that Patricia situation with Sasha Riley, and that might be something for sure. I think there's probably some more stuff that's going to pile up, and I'll probably end up having another long stream tomorrow night where I go through a lot of that. So yeah, I know I was seeing a couple things pop up, but I wanna wait until I get a chunk of it to, you know, go through it properly. I saw this ridiculous, I mean, it's not that crazy, but this, guy, I guess I'm not sure who this is. Uh, he's affiliated with Trump in some way, and he says that Trump is ushering in a new world order. And I hope that, like, Trump says it himself. I'm sure, like, Alex Jones pulled out his pistol and shot the TV when he saw this.
Davos, we know there's the big housing speech. What else can we anticipate?
There's also going to be some look at the new world order that President Trump is creating, and a lot of countries that were whining about tariffs 6 months ago and saying that President Trump was going to harm their economies had pretty good years, and I think it's in part because people recognize that President Trump has made it so that we are the shining city on the hill again. We are the engine of global economic growth.
So, yeah, that I mean, it's not a big deal, but it is just kinda funny. Um, and then this is wild. Remember we were talking there was possibly some weird weapon used in Venezuela? Well, there was a bunch of Cuban soldiers, I guess, or bodyguards that were killed in the whole situation, and they're brought back in this kind of ceremonious way, but they're in very, very tiny boxes. And whoever this weird poster is, Napoleon Bonaparte appreciator, they see that, yeah, I would bet that their other posts are cringe as fuck. So I'm not co-signing anything that they're posting. But look at this. What's up with them tiny ass boxes? That's crazy. I don't know what's going on with that. And then I'm seeing yeah, possibly ashes. That's a good point, actually. So I wonder if there was some kind of cremation that had already happened. That would make it make more sense. But that does look kind of weird. Um, and then somebody sent me a article about this is actually in Newsweek. U.S. link to mystery Havana syndrome device. And this is the discussion that we had last week about that weapon. So let's see if it has any new information. We went through a lot of the details of the weapon. Um, but yeah, so the new details here are actually that the symptoms that we discussed, they're saying that it could be what has been called Havana syndrome in the past. So now they're saying if that is the case, then they could potentially know that a similar kind of device or weapon has caused that in the past. It seems. Yeah. Yeah, and a lot of that technical stuff we kind of went through last week on stream, and I have a video up of it. But yeah, there's a lot of ice stories to get through, and there's some really crazy leaks. A lot of them came from Ken Klippenstein, if you're familiar with him. But first, I'll get to something that they put out themselves just a few days ago. This says Department of Homeland Security launches new office to advance drone and counter drone technologies. So this is a whole drone division that they're going to have, and it's going to have $115 million pumped into it. Um, Yeah, and so this is their website. Says DHS today announced the launch of a new office dedicated to rapidly procuring and deploying drone and counter drone technologies, marking a major step forward in restoring American airspace sovereignty, a top priority for the Trump administration. That goes into drones. Let's see what the quote says. Drones represent the new frontier of American. Okay. This will help us continue to secure the border and cripple the cartels, protect our infrastructure, and keep Americans safe as they attend festivities and events during our historic year. So, this is going to be, at sporting events, possibly at uh, holiday events or whatever is in town, perhaps. And especially FIFA, which a lot of people are canceling their tickets to because they're afraid of getting arrested. It People from outside of the country. So let's see what else. Oh yeah, so the other thing is this gets more scary when you look at some of the stuff we're going to talk about later, and just the general atmosphere of they're already invading towns with all of these gangs essentially, and now they're going to have drones in the sky. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Um, let's see. Yeah. Industry. So yeah, it doesn't give any more specific information, but there will be drones. Let's see what we got. And let's get into Ken Klippenstein's leaks here. He's killing it. Like the past year or two, he's just been killing it. Um, there have been two articles that he put out this week. One was in regards to this whole spy network thing, and another one was just the general atmosphere and morale within the ranks. And there's some discontent in different directions, I'll say. And let's see what this says. Operations Benchwarmer, Tidal Wave, Abracadabra, Dust Off, Fleur de Lis. These are just a few of the secret programs recently undertaken by Immigrations and Enforcement. ICE has become self-appointed bouncer for America under Donald Trump, enlisting tens of thousands of federal, state, and local police and intelligence departments and agencies to not just root out illegals, but also exploit them for intelligence, leaked documents show. A Border Patrol official outraged by ICE's conduct has leaked them to me and other documents providing an unprecedented glimpse into ICE's undeclared activities across the country. Many of these operations and their code names have not been previously reported. A 15-page long document marked Law Enforcement Sensitive details 21 different major ICE operations, resulting, so it says, in almost 7,000 apprehensions since June. From Operation A covert effort to develop informants among immigrants in detention, to Operation Benchwarmer, which alone spans the deployment of 2,000 intelligence assets across the country. The document gives a sense of how aggressively ICE is scouring neighborhoods and developing sources to spy on immigrants and Americans alike. So, this deployment of 2,000 intelligent assets, from my reading of the rest of it, it seems to be that those are like undercover agents that are planted in various places. So let's see. The source was spurred into action by the absurd amounts of secrecy surrounding the operations and the utter failure of Congress to make any of them public. The secrecy has concealed ICE's transformation into a parallel FBI, a DEA, and an independent police force whose mission has crept well past the deportations that media tend to focus on. Yeah, and this is the thing I was talking about the other day. Why were they going into those places that were accused of alleged fraud and grabbing boxes of papers? Why wasn't the FBI doing that? Why wasn't, the IRS or whatever doing that? It is very weird that it's giving secret police vibes, the media is telling a certain story about ICE, giving the blow by blow of the most public horrors, but never quite seeing the bigger picture, that it's part of a larger war. As a military intelligence source told me, the ICE crackdown isn't just about immigration, it's about gathering intelligence in support of Trump's war on cartels, as well as Antifa on the radical left, and those who are anti American, and anyone else they consider terrorists. Yeah, and this is important to say here, too, that when they say radical left, they mean literally anybody who opposes them. Trump calls Thomas Massie a radical leftist. So, you know, I wouldn't take comfort in the fact that if you don't see yourself as a leftist, I wouldn't take comfort in that. And since the administration has been so quick to label everyone, including Renee Good, terrorists, it's no wonder why they think they're at war. ICE's work is done under a set of task forces, with the agency calling upon other Security agencies like Border Patrol, Homeland Security Investigations, a few others. DHS now constitutes the largest federal law enforcement agency in the country. Yeah, gone over this in previous streams that it is now the biggest and most well-funded law enforcement agency in the world, bigger than most countries' militaries. It's obvious that that is not needed. Operation Abracadabra was initiated with the requirement of interviewing 100% of individuals apprehended, rather, or to gather intelligence and identify follow on targets, such as stash houses and individuals conducting illegal activity. So, this just means anywhere where an immigrant might be staying. One of the documents, a briefing slide, reads: the purpose, it continues, is to tying every individual who crosses the border illegally to a foreign terrorist organization, a transnational criminal organization, and or utilizing the intelligence to develop targets. And this aligns perfectly with what we've been seeing in the news, because every single person that they grab, they say is Tren Iragua, which really doesn't exist to a great degree in the US. It exists in Venezuela. There are some people that live in the US that are affiliated with it, but it's not like a very serious problem that you can really track. It's just that they call everyone who's Venezuelan who gets a DUI Tren Aragua. So let's see. Yeah, and that makes perfect sense. Another briefing about Operation Benchwarmer reveals the employment of agents dressing in plain clothes to disguise themselves as ordinary people in attempts to gather intelligence. Plainclothes agents have been embedded in transport vans, sally ports, processing areas, and detention cells to gather important tactical intelligence and information. So they're even being deployed as fake prisoners because they're worried that, of course, people aren't going to talk and give them information. So they'll hang out in the prisons pretending to be other prisoners and trying to get information that way, collecting information that would not normally be gained through formal interviews. This national security colossus, over 20 years in the making, plays an intimate role in many of the ICE operations you read about and many you don't. Yesterday, he reported on the deployment of hundreds of Border Patrol agents to Minneapolis. The source's motive is in large part pertains to the lack of a big picture of public understanding. And then the one document he got, the whole use of force section was redacted. Like, I don't know why it was redacted, if it was leaked to him. I don't know how that works, but the whole thing is just blacked out. So I'm not sure if that's what they're giving to their people. Um, let's see if I know. So he's got more coming soon on this. And apparently there are other aspects of these operations or additional operations that were in the documents that he had access to. So I'm sure in the next few days we'll be getting some more information on this. But I have some other like small pieces that I've been putting together as well. But there's also a, I think he had another one. Let's see. Should be on this Substack. I'll check it. It had a few interesting points. Yeah, it was this one. This was the one where, let's see, it changed, like, here it is. Use of force is a seizure of a person if an officer agent applies the use of force to the subject or the subject yields to the officer's show of force. As a seizure, the Fourth Amendment requires the use of force is reasonable. That's all it says. Necessary to carry out the law enforcement duty. That can be justified, and for anything. Reasonable amount of force in the light of totality of the circumstances. Oh yeah, this was the important part. This says that incitement, fighting words are not First Amendment free speech. That's why people have been getting arrested for telling them to fuck off. But they've been released hours later, and that just shows that they're not actually doing anything wrong. So yeah, I would definitely give him a follow if you're not already on Substack, because even on other topics, he is always on top of shit. Um, and let's see. And there's definitely something happening with this Palantir network situation. This is news today. It says Palantir is working on a tool for immigration and customs enforcement that populates a map with potential deportation targets, brings up a dossier on each person, and provides a confidence score on the person's current address. And then there's some other stuff as well that supports that. And this is something I've been talking about for the past couple days. In many cases, DHS agents are refusing to accept people's IDs, and instead they're scanning them through imperfect biometric systems. So this is why a lot of people are a lot of US citizens are getting detained too. And one of the people who got detained has come out and talked about it, and they have a video I'll pull up in a couple minutes where they talk about how there's a whole wing just for US citizens. But they are forcing people to do these biometric scans, and they're putting you in some kind of Palantir system, and probably other internal government databases. But I'm sure Palantir is going to be a very big part of this, and that's what the story we just saw was. The ACLU just filed a lawsuit and has a chilling ICE story on ICE not even accepting a passport card and detaining a citizen for 25 minutes after scanning him. I've definitely heard of that happening a lot. Let's see here. Got something else. Yeah. There was also a US citizen that was detained for 25 days, sent to 4 different states before she was finally reunited with her family. Like, this is insane.
In Maryland, detained for 25 days despite producing multiple documents, proof of citizenship. She was sent to 4 different states before finally being reunited with her family. There was the Minnesota parent picked up while waiting with their child to get on the school bus. A 17-year-old New Jersey high school student, whose priest, by the way, calls him a good kid. He was arrested while doing his laundry. There's also a landscaper who's caregiver to a 9-year-old son with cerebral palsy who was swept up. He's been in this country for 20 years.
Yeah, it's like, what is even happening, man? And that's why I keep on focusing on it, because I think it's getting across to some people, I think, and that's why there's a lot of resistance to it. But you know, they're entering houses now of U.S. citizens as well. These couple videos I have are all U.S. citizens in this section here. Um, they illegally entered a private property without a warrant, were explicitly told to leave while being filmed, assaulted a U.S. citizen, violently arrested him, and then released him 8 hours later without charges.
Yeah, bro. You're so get the fuck out of my face. Oh yeah. Yeah, bro. You're so fucking tough. Get the fuck out of my face. You want to step in front of me? I've been standing here the whole time.
I'm standing here all the time. You got a lot to say.
Slap it out of my face.
You got a lot to say.
slapped
You
the phone
put
out
the
of
camera in my face, right?
Yeah, I did.
Get it out my face. Hey. Come here. You want to get my fucking face?
Get the fuck out of my face.
Yeah, so that's, and they just walked up in this guy's house or in this guy's property. There's also a story of another legal observer here.
Most controversial thing about this video is the fact that I have a TV over my fireplace in my own house.
For some time, people have asked Ryan to potentially introduce his camera woman. And I never thought that yesterday would be the way that I would meet all of you. It is not what this account is about. And we are looking forward to getting back to regularly scheduled programming where I'm not on camera. So that said,
This is a weird video to make. The whole purpose of my channel and my presence here on social media is to be a guide and a lighthouse for people who have questions about real estate. What I do want to start with is saying that I am okay. I was detained by ICE here in the town where I live, which is Woodbury, Minnesota, yesterday. I was recording and following their movements in my vehicle. They didn't like that, and 5 ICE officers approached my vehicle, boxed me in with their vehicles, and all 5 of them forcibly removed me from my car, threw me to the ground, which is where I got some of the road rash on my face. And I was detained at the Whipple Detention Center for approximately 10 hours yesterday, along with a number of other people, all of whom, at least in the cell that I was in, were U.S. citizens. I was exercising my legal rights, which I encourage anybody to do safely, which I felt I was doing. I wasn't impeding an investigation. I wasn't flashing my lights or driving erratically or honking my horn at anyone. I was simply recording them as they moved around the city. This is not a political post. I simply want to say that I care a lot about my community members. I think what's happening around our communities right now is inherently making people feel very unsafe. I was detained for about 10 hours. At no point in time was I charged with anything. I was ultimately released without charge because I didn't do anything illegal, wrong, or out of bounds. I'm looking forward to getting back to talking to you guys about the stuff that I really care about, which is real estate. But I had to come on here and let everybody know that
even like real estate pros are getting caught up. And look, it looks like they beat the shit out of them too.
What happened yesterday was pretty shocking. I care a lot about my community and the people that live here. Talk to your leaders, your state, city representatives, go to your city council meetings. I really appreciate all the support. You guys have been, it's been really great. But of course, this is not really what I want to speak about or being known for in the community. I look back to delivering all of the great real estate content that hopefully you guys have come to really appreciate in the next day or two.
It's so weird and dystopian. It's like this guy is not Antifa, obviously, see what else we got. I forget what this. Oh yeah, we've been seeing this a lot in the videos that we've watched over the past 2 nights where I did the Ice Watch stuff. There were a lot of times where they hit random cars and just arrested people. And this is a very interesting take on that.
The ICE agents blow through a stop sign, T-bone someone on accident, and then kidnap the driver that they T-boned. That was their way of cleaning up their mess. This was not someone they were pursuing. It was not someone, a suspect on their list. This was not even a protester. They just blew through a stop sign, accidentally T-boning someone, and instead of calling police and waiting for an ambulance, because they didn't want to stick around for the scene. Instead, they got out of their Ford Explorer, approached the driver's side broken window of the vehicle that they hit. They ripped that driver from his vehicle, threw him in the back of their Ford Explorer, driving off, kidnapping this man. That was their way of cleaning up their car accident today. We're not okay, you guys. And I know that I'm in close proximity because I'm responding to ICE sightings. I am putting myself on scene or minutes behind these sorts of scenes. So I'm seeing things like this every day. But it's also happening to people who are just driving through the neighborhood, who are getting T-boned and then kidnapped. Please keep an eye on.
Check this one out. This is wild. This guy. You peacefully protest with a letter to the editor. You peacefully protest by starting a Substack or a podcast.
Town Square. You peacefully protest with a letter to the editor. You
Are they
peacefully
committing violence
protest.
right now?
You peacefully protest by starting a
letter to
Substack
the
or
editor?
a podcast.
Starting a
hold on
podcast?
You don't.
Hold on
no,
a
wait a
second,
minute.
Brad.
You cannot
Brad,
interfere
there are
with.
a lot. We've been in this country now in the midst of protests of all forms for a long time. We have seen protests in this country.
Somebody in the Twitch chat questioning his injuries. Maybe he was shoved on the ground. You know what I mean? Like that seems consistent with that. Maybe not being hit in the face, but definitely having your face shoved into the ground for sure.
That no, don't stop at a letter to the editor. Okay, you see in the history of this country peaceful, justified protests in which people put their lives and their bodies on the line. They leave their homes, they go and do something that officials tell them is unlawful, sitting at a segregated counter, crossing a bridge. People have been doing that in this country for a long time. That is also
Civil disobedience is honored.
Listen,
honored.
civil disobedience is peaceful protest.
That guy saying a letter to the editor that's classic. That's one of the best things I've ever seen. And so this woman was arrested the other day. I remember seeing the video, I'm pretty sure, or seeing the video after she got out. But she describes a pretty crazy situation there. She also describes an encounter she had with one of the people who had locked her up there that couldn't even understand why they were out there doing what they were doing. And she was the one who described how they have a whole wing just for U.S. citizens. And that's actually what the real estate bro said, too. So let's see what she has to say. I'll speed it up a little bit. And if it starts trailing, I'll move on to the next one.
Violently arrested and detained by ICE 2 days ago with my friend in Minneapolis. And I want to share a little bit about the story just because I think it's important that people know. We were alerted that ICE was in our neighborhood, and so went to the scene to continue alerting the neighborhood that ICE was in the area. We've been doing this by blowing on our whistles, honking our horns. So we were following 2 ICE vehicles and doing just that when they got out of their vehicles, surrounded the car, pepper sprayed into the front windshield vent of the car, and then proceeded to come back and break the glass on both the passenger and driver side of the vehicle and drag us out of the car and arrest us and take us to the federal detention center in St. Paul, Minnesota. When I was put into the car with ICE, I was with 3 agents. Those agents immediately started to taunt me, mock me. They told me that I was ugly. They took a picture of me. And the worst thing that they said was the driver of the vehicle said that you guys need to stop obstructing us. That's why that lesbian bitch is dead, referring to Renee Good, who
multiple people have said that they've been told that. Now, this is not the first person that have said that. There's another video that I have, a short one, where some guy says basically the same thing, that's what they told him.
Was murdered in Minneapolis in the same neighborhood that we had been taken just last week. And that was absolutely shocking to hear. I was filled with rage. I think I called him a fucking bigot. It was like a truly like how can you say that? How could anybody say that? Knowing how the community is impacted and grieving. You truly must just not care and not see this person as human. So when we got to the detention center, we were put into ankle shackles and then brought into the U.S. citizen wing of the center. We were essentially had to beg for any water to go to the bathroom. I was never given a phone call in the 8 hours that I was there. And I think the most disturbing part to me when I was there is we were hearing, just wailing from women, desperate, crying, I heard a man say, "Let me go, let me go, let me go, let me go," over and over again. We heard a child crying. Just like all of this like pain we could hear from the cells that we were in. But then that was juxtaposed with,
this is such cruel shit. It's just so it's so hard for me to understand like how people can be like enthusiastically supportive of this. When it's like this is happening to other human beings and they're not impacting our way of life in a negative way.
Hearing all of the federal agents that were walking around in the building that were making the operation happen, they were having small talk with each other. They were laughing. They were, having lighthearted conversation, and just the duality of that, and the fact that how disconnected you must have to be from your fellow human's pain to be able to talk about those everyday things while people are literally screaming and crying in the background because they've been ripped away from their livelihoods and their families, was, again, like, I feel like I'm not shocked by much anymore, but like it was shocking and scary. And at one point, my friend who was arrested alongside me, he was brought into another room for questioning by 3 HSI agents, and they offered him money or legal protection for any undocumented family members that he might have, which he does not have any undocumented family members, but they offered him legal protection for any undocumented family members if he gave up the names of other undocumented people that he knew, or the names of protest organizers. So they literally offered him a bribe. And
that's another thing that's very reminiscent of other fascist regimes.
Another person, another U.S. citizen that was in his same cell, a Hispanic man, was offered that same deal. They both said no. It was a wild experience. At the end of the day, we were not charged with anything, which is apparently what's been happening for observers who are being arrested and brought to detention. They're usually let go within a few hours and not charged with anything, which would maybe insinuate that we're not actually doing anything illegal, and that this operation is more of an operation of terror and to scare people, to dehumanize people, than it is to enforce the laws. I've been a Minneapolis resident for 14 years. I've never felt less safe in my own community with all of these ICE agents running around on power trips, trigger happy. It's a scary place to be, but also, they are thinking that all of this excessive use of force.
Yeah, so I think that is where she stops talking about her experience there. But as I was saying, there have been multiple reports now of people saying, you guys got to stop obstructing us. That's why that lesbian bitch is dead. Verbatim. And this is, this guy is the one who reportedly said that. I think it was on Instagram, but yeah, there were pretty sure that those weren't the only ones. I might have seen a couple of others. Let's see this one here. This guy actually ended up.
Can we help you? I don't care who you are. Okay, then go away. No, you're trespassing. You're trespassing. This is our property. I don't need to do anything. I don't need to do anything. You're trespassing. This is my house. I'm going to call the cops on you. You know I have the rights to bear arms, right? If you're trespassing.
Damn, bro.
Oh, get away. Yes, you are. You can do whatever you want. You're trespassing. I'll call the cops on you. I will. All right, I'll tell them that. You don't need to wait. You're trespassing. I tell them that you're trespassing.
So it looks like people got to keep their doors locked at all times, because in the cases where they did run up in somebody's house, I think they just walked in the door. They just, yeah.
You don't need to wait. We're not opening the door. I don't care who you are. Oh, good. Then go away. Waiting for who? Who? Okay, good for you. Waste your time. Thank you for trespassing.
And then they dipped.
Wow.
Of course, not every person that stands up like that is going to have that outcome. But if you're behind a locked door, you have better luck. Here's an update to the video that I put out the other day and I talked a little bit about on stream. They have been scooping up Native Americans. They have been going on to reservations and especially going after homeless Native Americans because they don't have documentation, but they're obviously, you know, on a reservation in a homeless shelter. You know what I mean? I think they literally went after a homeless shelter in that one article that we read on stream the other night, a homeless shelter in a reservation. So what the hell does that tell you, you know? And in regard to, there have been suspicions that a bunch of pardoned January 6 people and Proud Boys are a part of ICE, but now because of the leaked database, we now know that pretty much the leader of the Proud Boys, at the very least, is an ICE agent, and probably many of his underlings are as well. And this was just discovered in the recently leaked documents. And last night, you may have seen that they shot somebody else and all hell broke loose. They were, you know, shooting flashbangs everywhere, tear gas. This one guy was just driving through the neighborhood. He said he didn't even give a shit about the protest, and he got tear gas launched through his window that his kids were in car seats in. And yeah.
Threw flashbangs and tear gas in my car and made I got 6 kids in the car. Lord, my 6-month old can't even breathe. My 2-year-old then flipped out the damn car. This was flipped over. My car filled with tear gas. I'm trying to pull my kid out the car. I'm telling the officer I need ambulance. It took him 5 fucking minutes. He's going back and forth with me, telling me to go back in there and call and tell them to come up Lindale. They can't even come up Lindale.
Were you participating in the protest?
I wasn't at all. I didn't care to be, you know, not to say it like that, but I wasn't. Like,
You were just here.
Yes, I was trying to leave. What officers?
Yeah, like, and I believe him because he probably wouldn't have said it like that. You know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, the whole organization is suspect. ICE. They're what they're doing is not good. It's never been historically good. There are so many historical examples of organizations like this, and it has never turned out well. There's a reason why you know, police are forced to identify themselves in halfway civilized societies. We certainly, you know, you don't have cops running around beating up nonviolent offenders and throwing them in jail in a civilized society. But even a society attempting to look like it's civilized at least has some semblance of justice, not just these roaming gangs of thugs who work on behalf of the current administration, or I'd say regime, more accurately. But it definitely went down last night. But the thing is, there wasn't really much damage to anything. They really fucked up a FBI car and they took a bunch of shit out of it, and I'll get to that later. But they kept it very targeted on the enemy target. You know what I mean? And they didn't hurt anybody. They just hurt some, you know, ghoul property. Oh man, those horns are. This is another one. Look at the fender there. It's always with they just are that's how they're pulling people over, by crashing into their vehicles. I am no fan of Obama, but and I know, like, I did not like his immigration policy because I thought it was too harsh. But he did not have these gangs going around doing this. This is a very new thing. Nobody can say that this is like, just business as usual, and we're just upset because Trump's doing it. It's not. I mean, this is bizarre shit. We didn't have people ripping random people out of cars with masks, slashing their seatbelts, smashing their windows throughout the city on a daily basis. Maybe they were picking up people out of prisons and stuff like that, but like this, and it's all because of Trump's biggest lie, which is that there was just this massive flow of terrible immigrants that were hurting everybody, and some massive danger. um it just wasn't accurate. It wasn't true. So this is after they fucked up that car last night. There were all these documents, and the documents revealed locations to where they were taking detainees and all sorts of shit like that. But they found Nazi memorabilia in the vehicle. They found uh a totem coffin or some shit. Is that how you pronounce it? It's one of the it's the thing that Graham Plattner had on his chest. Um, and this is them busting into the thing. If you are ever in a situation like this, never approach a vehicle without a mask. Like straight up. This one guy that with face tattoo, he's already in jail. And like, come on, bro. You like yeah, bro up there with the hood is smart, but like you gotta, yeah, gotta have some OPSEC if you're gonna be pulling that shit. And see, let's see.
Ain't no way. Tourniquet there.
See, I wouldn't even be talking. You don't be talking because they'll trace you from that too. And you better have a change of clothes.
Did he get? Okay. Hey, don't film that. Who's that running?
The snitch Nick Sorter that fucking created this video. I mean, they would have caught this guy anyway. Like, I would be concerned if I was around that vehicle and, even if my face wasn't showing, if you were wearing the same clothes 20 minutes ago in a different part of town and your face was showing, they'll get you.
Go.
Oh, shit.
This shit's crazy. This is crazy. But I'm gonna be interested to see how many people get popped for that. I think that it does show discipline to just keep it to that car. I gotta say, it shows restraint. Like somebody got shot right there. That was the car of the people who shot the guy last night. So, you know what I'm saying? They shot the guy, and then a crowd started to form around, and then they ditched the car, and then the crowd went after the car. And all the documents were videotaped by journalists. So they're out there. And I believe that some of the documents said things about like collecting DNA for a DNA database because these freaks are eugenicists. I don't know if that's a totem coffin. That's I don't, is that, I'm not an expert, but I thought that it was like a fatter skull. I don't know. It does look Nazi-ish for sure, but I thought that the totem coffin was like, was thicker, like a flatter face kinda thing, you know what I mean? Um, I'm not sure. Yeah. Well, I don't, I can't read out what it says on the top. Let's see what the, oh, these are, okay. Alright, well, I guess that one's debunked. It wouldn't surprise me though. I mean, we definitely have caught them with Nazi tattoos in the past week. Um, this, I think, is more on the missing tribal members. These are some of the natives, I think, that were released. Missing 3 tribal members not found at Whipple Building. Attorney Chase Iron Eyes spoke today after the Sioux tribe leaders and supporters went into Fort Snelling Whipple Building trying to locate 3 tribal citizens still missing in ICE custody. So there's some, and the thing is these people get shipped out so quickly. Let's see. Let's see what he has to say.
Anybody's game, goddammit, that looks
And
like
one of
that.
them has been released, but they couldn't locate the other 3. So the council members here, they're all elected officials of the Oglala Sioux tribe, and they gained access to the facility, and they couldn't find their 3 tribal members. They're not. They claim that they're not classifying them by their nationality, which tribal members are also citizens of the United States since 1924. You know, there's nobody more American than American Indians, but they were unable to find them here today, and so they're going to continue on. They got some contact information. They love the fact that you're here, that everybody's here, and they're going to be giving out tribal IDs to their tribal members who are in Minneapolis, St. Paul, at the American Indian Center down on Franklin Avenue. But I just want to say thank you to everyone that's here. Stay vigilant and stay assertive, stay constructive. We're in unprecedented times, the way that I see it. So my name is Chase Iron Eyes. I'm an Oglala Sioux tribal member. I'm a constituent of the elected officials that made a trip all the way here. And that is Don Roy Ghostbear. I just want to recognize them for a second. Councilman Don Roy Ghostbear, Councilman George Dreamer, Councilman Garfield Steele, Councilman Tyler Lunderman, and there's one more, Councilman Ryan Jumping Eagle. They came all the way here to retrieve their tribal members who were captured by ICE, and we failed in that mission today, but it will continue. So stay where you're at and stay vigilant is all I can say. We're all concerned about, this white supremacist influencer coming into town in less than 48 hours. We don't know their route, but our goal is to keep the good people of Minneapolis, St. Paul safe. So thank you very much. I'll head you to it. Thank you.
Not allowed on the reservation. Moving our borders to annexate this, you're not allowed to come terrorize our tribal members on our homeland. You're not allowed on our fucking reservation. Period. Thank you.
Well, love you guys.
That is so insane that they're like going on Indian reservations and like snatching up people. There's this one video that is allegedly taken from the 911 call of the person who was shot last night. So the story we have is apparent. It started out that he attacked agents with a shovel. That was the initial story that they came out with. And then when the actual police were questioned in a press conference later that night, they said, well, there was a broom handle found on the scene. And that's all that they could, determine. But let's see what this says, because this apparently has some additional details. I haven't watched this one yet because I didn't have the time, but we'll see what it reveals, if anything.
En la pierna, en la pierna. Por favor, ayúdenos, tenemos hijos. Asómalo por la ventana.
Y si disparan.
Asómalo así, nada más por fuera. Los del aire, son los del aire.
This is a video of the wife of the man shot by ICE.
Mira, quítate de ahí. Quítate de ahí. Venía persiguiendo a mi marido hace como media hora, lo estaban tratando de chocar. Y llegó a la...
Yeah, I mean, if there's no video, nobody's going to believe a damn thing that they say at this point. I wonder if there's anybody in the comments that... No comments.
They were following my husband, and they hit his vehicle, and we closed the door of them, and they shot.
Marica, me da miedo asomarme a la ventana.
I hear there's some translation.
Y el carro... Están aquí abajo afuera tratando de entrar. Sí, en este momento están afuera de la casa. Ese es el suyo. Es que dispararon a...
I'm not sure. Unfortunately, I couldn't tell what that proves. And I can't read any of the quote retweets. So sorry about that diversion. Let's see. Oh, did you hear anything in there? Did you hear anything in there on that last one? But yeah, they won't. I don't think people believe what they're saying. So there were more showdowns today, and some of this stuff is really dystopian looking. Like, check this out.
I guess they got their press moment. CBS got what they needed, and now they're moving back.
I'm going to speed it up a little bit.
Oh, fucking scared! You fucking scared, you fucking coward!
Pellet pellets moved.
Fuck you! Fuck you, you Oompa Loompa, bitch! Fucking Oompa Loompa coward!
The pellets, pepper spray was deployed.
And then look at how many there are. This is insane.
Across the street are trying to push people back on the sidewalks.
They're just going after some random ass person.
Someone on the ground here.
Looks like a woman.
Fired,
They really like going after women, it seems.
They're now going through the crowd and grabbing other people or pushing them back.
Yeah, whatever that green smoke that they were messing with last night, I saw that was supposed to be especially toxic or something like that. That it was some kind of new chemical that they weren't even supposed to be using. This one is the one you're talking about, right? Hold on a minute. This one, right? HC smoke. We'll take a look at the medical info for that.
Oh, look, they had to use irritants to advance because they're cowards!
Please buy a gas mask for yourself and your loved ones. HC smoke, respiratory, causes coughing, difficulty breathing, chemical pneumonia, pulmonary edema, and can be fatal. Neurological, can cause twitching muscle and staggering gait. And this is stuff that it seems like they're just deploying in neighborhoods with people who really are not being violent, people who are just getting in their way. And, you know, making it a little bit harder for them to carry out their inhumane deportation agenda. Ford Fisher has been out there all week. This dude, he's out there at everything, man. I like this guy. I've met him a couple times.
Oh my God, why did you do that?
I did see this guy in a later interview, and he ended up being okay. He was still like breathing heavy and stuff like that, but he was let out shortly after, of course, without charges.
So we go one, we go all.
That guy.
The Patriots are on the go. Do not let them stop you.
That's the QAnon psycho from the other day.
To the Patriots.
Oh, there he is. Oh, fine. And then I guess this is the continuation.
Fuck you!
There were actually people who were who were like spraying water on the ground or like dropping buckets of water on the ground so they would slip. You know, you can't get a charge for that, I don't think. I mean, I've been hearing from a lot of Europeans that this is like, you know, that they're afraid of what's happening over here. A lot of the people that I know from Europe, and that they're all seem quite, you know, freaked out about what's happening here. They don't want to come here anymore. Like even businesses have been doing fewer events here, things like that. And I really do think that the protesters have been incredibly restrained. There's, you know, not really been a bunch of stuff that they could point to as propaganda. This guy, I've never heard of him until this week, until the other day when he was shouting that stuff about we executed one of you. He seems like one of these people that are just like rage baiters.
That's right, back the fuck up, commies. Back the fuck up.
Yeah, I don't know if the number is correct, but I saw that over 25K people canceled their World Cup tickets. And I went to Art Basel in December, and I go like every year, and there was nobody there this year. It was empty. Usually it's super busy. There's traffic everywhere, and it was kind of a little bit like that, but not really. You could get into restaurants easily and stuff, and yeah, the tourism is just way down for everything because people just aren't coming from other countries. And see, look, he's like leading them. It's so obnoxious.
Move! Back up, Tommies. Back the fuck up, Tommies. Back up, Tommies. This is how you have to compensate. Back up, Tommies. Trump, bring in the 1807.
Yeah, like, if anything, he is obstructing them more than they are. But they're like, all right, you're on our side.
Insurrection Act. Tim Walz does not have control of the cities. Tim Walz does not have control of the cities. We need the 1807 Insurrection Act. Trump, save Minnesota.
I don't know where these people fucking come from.
Trump, save Minnesota. What's up?
How do you get this brain broken?
Ford, how you doing? Ford, we've come here today. We've come here today to go ahead. We went to tell. We want to tell Donald Trump we need to enact 1807, the 1807 Insurrection Act. These people, Tim Walz has lost control of the state, and Trump,
And literally, anytime anybody touches that guy, the ICE agents rush in and arrest them. At least that's how it was the other day when he was shouting about how he executed one of them.
You live fuck all you commie! Fuck all you commie! Fuck all you commie! Says that bitch! Don't touch him! Don't touch him! Fuck you!
And that guy in the sunglasses there seemed like an undercover. And like, what are you? They gave him his own suit so he could cosplay. That's outrageous. That's the same dude, right? Or like maybe not.
Sorry guys. Back up, guys. Come on.
Nah, that's not the same dude. Different loser.
Back up, Go home! Get away!
So there's a bunch of these fucking freaks up there with the ICE agents. Some of them getting some of their gear.
Stop assaulting us! Stop assaulting us!
Look, one of the ICE agents was getting like clotheslined by that asshole's flag that he was just dragging behind him. They're pushing over right now. After the guy got clotheslined. Oh shit, look. Whoa. He was just probably like, this is all for show, right? You know?
Pathetic. Here we go. It's like negative fucking 10 degrees, you moron. Get back.
Let's see if there's any. Pro-ICE activists.
Who can become the boot?
Why do you want anyone to be a boot? You get what I mean?
No one should be a boot. You know what I'm saying? But if there's going to be a boot, which is the government, it should be a small-sized government, and it should be controlled by we the people. You know what I'm saying? So if there's a boot involved in the picture, we the people should be the boot. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of what I mean. No boots, though. You know what I'm saying? No boots.
Well, then why are you supporting ICE, you dumbass?
Tell me if you think that this is if I'm not facing. Everything you and your guys were kind of giving commands.
I can't understand what's going on.
LARPing is law enforcement.
Not LARPing is law enforcement. What we're doing here today is to show patriots all around the country that, yeah, it might look like I'm by myself here, but we're not. We know there's millions of us. I hope you guys have seen in the past, I don't know, 10 days that this has started, of how they treated guys, 3 guys, 2 guys, 5 guys, 6.
Fucking douchebags. Yeah, I Status Quo has been doing a really good job. They were on top. They were like right near that truck when everything went down last night, and yeah, that they were like recording all of the documents, which was pretty crazy. See if I got anything else tonight. Gonna look through here. I should be putting out that video I've been talking about like tomorrow, I think. Tomorrow or Saturday. It's ready. I got the thumbnail done. I just need to give it one last look and make sure everything's good. I went through it last night and I realized that I didn't even have anything on the Cuban Missile Crisis, and it's like the Cold War. So like that was a very, very dumb gap to have in there, but I fixed that. And oh yeah, the other thing I wanted to talk about in light of all of this, especially the spy stuff and the leaks from Ken Klippenstein, it's important to always talk about this NSPM 7 situation, which basically redefines the definition of terrorism to just be like anybody who isn't like, well, let's look at it. I don't want to be, I could only think of pejoratives. The Trump administration isn't only targeting organizations or groups, but even individuals and entities whom NSPM 7 says can be identified by any of the following indicators of violence: anti-Americanism, which this is a thing that I think about quite often because I'm always accused of this. But America is an abstraction. You know what I mean? Like, you can't really define what it is. And even if you were to define what it is, people could argue whatever your definition was, because there's so many different ways that you can conceive it, because it is essentially an abstraction. You know, is it the place? Is it the government? Is it the people? Is it the geography? You know, or is it just the gang that controls the geography? Regardless, when they say that you're anti-American or that you hate America, what they are usually saying is that you're against American hegemony in the context of, you know, war and foreign policy is when this often comes up, because you know, you'll say we shouldn't be attacking these people all over the places. We shouldn't be trying to dominate all of these countries. We shouldn't be trying to set up colonies all over the world. And their response is, well, you just hate America. You just don't want us to be on top. And it's like, no, I just don't want human beings to organize themselves this way on this planet. And I think that we've come to a place where we can be much better than that. And that shouldn't be a crime, you know, and that is really the majority of the time. People who get accused of this hating America or anti-Americanism, they're either criticizing American foreign policy, which is inhumane, or they are criticizing aspects of American tradition that were or are inhumane, or they're speaking to existing systematic inequalities that still need to be addressed. And that gets labeled as anti-American as well. So some of the other things that fit into this NSPM 7 is anti-capitalism, anti-Christianity, support for overthrow of the United States government, extremism on migration. So when they say extremism on migration, that means that you think that immigrants are human. Extremism on race, that means that you think racism exists. Extremism on gender, that means that you think people should be able to live however they want. Hostility towards those who hold traditional American views on family. I don't think anybody has hostility towards those who hold traditional views on American views on family, whatever that means. Um, but they just don't want to be subject to those traditions. That's all. Hostility towards those who hold traditional American views on religion. And again, that's another thing. People could be religious all they want. Just, don't be an asshole about it. Hostility towards those who hold traditional American views on morality. Now, what does that even mean? Because their morality seems to be might makes right. But regardless, this is a part of the new definition of terrorism, which, considering that they have wings for US citizens in these facilities, and they are creating a spy network of agents that are all over the place, this is not looking great. Um, yeah, I would say libertarian is definitely right. Well, libertarianism is certainly right wing, or at least American libertarianism is right wing. Uh, other in other countries, it could be different, but the American Libertarian Party has kind of poisoned the libertarian brand in the United States, in my opinion, and the whole anarcho-capitalist thing with the Cato Institute and Murray Rothbard and all that, have pushed it in an extremely right wing direction in the United States since the 70s, I'd say, maybe even earlier. But the traditional libertarian tradition in Europe and other parts of the world can be can definitely be left wing. But at the same time, uh, the version the right wing version of American libertarianism has been exported other places now. Like you could see in Argentina and stuff like that, even though they also have a history of right wing dictatorships that have overthrown left wing democracies. But yeah, it is. Yeah, exactly. Most people in the U.S. that claim libertarianism are just right wing. It wasn't like that 10 years ago. 10 years ago, there it was a lot different. But then in the Trump era, all that changed, and th- there was a coordinated co-option campaign, and that's something I think would be quite interesting to get into sometime, some rabbit hole to explore, because that is definitely something that happened. Like they astroturfed the message boards, they astroturfed the conferences, they snuck their way into things, and even one of the more moderate American libertarians, Jeffrey Tucker, wrote a book called like right wing fascism or something like that. And it was supposed to be this big surprise to libertarians who only thought that fascism came from the left wing, which is a weird concept. But it was like about how I never actually read the book. I just saw him promoting it. But it was about how they were trying to co-opt the uh, current version of American libertarianism, which was starting to go leftward during the Obama years, because there was an influx of people who originally voted for Obama to end the wars. He didn't end the wars. So then people started getting frustrated and they're like, where else do we go? And then they started flooding into the Libertarian Party. The Libertarian Party started getting more left wing, more progressive on social issues, and then there was this major kind of pushback after that from some of the higher ups in like the Mises Institute and places like that. I definitely remember witnessing a lot of that. Yeah, this goes way back to Gamergate and Occupy. I was around for all that stuff. Like I was a full-time independent journalist during all that. So I remember that time, and it was formative to what happened now, because a lot of those people ended up becoming a big part of the MAGA movement and building that. So it was I think it's important to trace back all that and to just see how people got twisted up. But yeah, it's been interesting conversation here with you at the end. I appreciate you bringing up interesting topics to chat about. I don't think I got anything going on this weekend, so I'm probably just gonna do probably pretty long streams Friday and Saturday night, starting at 10. I'm not sure what I'll do. I know I'm probably gonna keep it cool on ice for a day or two unless something goes crazy. I think what I'm gonna try to do is um, kind of separate the topics by days a little bit because it's good to have a break from some of these topics, even though it seems like everything I end up touching on it ends up being super heavy, whether it's this or the Epstein stuff. It's like always some kind of intense bullshit. But I guess when you care about human rights, it's like you got to look at this terrible stuff that's happening. So I appreciate this community that we are starting to build after me starting fresh after all these years, kind of being away, trying to figure out what's going on with like what my path would be. So today I got an email from YouTube where I was accepted for the first stage of monetization. So I think I set that up fully today, which is pretty cool. I don't think I'll have ads yet, but I think I like some of the first stage stuff. So I'm pretty excited about that. And I'm also yeah, I'm taking breaks whenever I have plans, you know what I mean? Like I don't have plans often, but if I'm able to go out and do something social, I'll go ahead and do it. But otherwise, I'm usually just sitting around and I like coming on here and streaming a lot better than just sitting around. Um, but yeah, it's been chill, and I will be putting out that video tomorrow or the next day. The Cold War was World War III, and then after that, I have another full length one that I'm working on about all of the different uh, times in history that we know about government drug smuggling. So from the Bay of Pigs mercenaries who ended up become drug cocaine smugglers that were protected by the CIA to the drug running that went in and around the Vietnam War, to the Afghanistan drug trade, to Manuel Noriega, to the Contra scandal, Ricky Ross, or not Rick Ross. Yeah, Rick Ross, right? Yeah. But the real Rick Ross, not the fake Rick Ross. Um, but yeah, that's going to be the second video. So I'm going to be trying to do them full length ones pretty often because I had a lot of fun. So, but yeah, I will. Oh, which streaming program do I use? I use sh- uh, StreamYard. Yeah, it works pretty good. It's very user friendly. I'm able to cross stream on Twitch, so you know, it's pretty useful. It also gives me very easy downloads after I'm done that I could clip stuff in, and it even has like automatic clips. But I use Opus clips too for that, and that's a lot easier. And then I use this thing called Descript as well, which helps you like when I want to do clips later, it helps me edit out like the verbal tics and all the times that I trip up when I'm trying to figure out something lives on a or something on a live stream, you know? So it's a lot harder when you're doing it live instead of scripted. Yeah, OBS is definitely doable, but it's a little bit more complex. So I'm starting with this. Yeah, it's like it edits your video for you and it brings up this transcript so you can just like edit very easily and you can just like backspace on the words instead of having to listen to every little second that you're recording. So that's super helpful. Um but yeah, that's I use a couple of those programs to kind of make the editing a little bit easier. Yeah, there's so many features. I started messing around with DaVinci too, and that has a lot of features. I had to I'm in the tutorial phase right now, but I can see how I can make stuff a lot better with that. So I'm gonna for the next video, I'm probably gonna use DaVinci. Yeah, and DaVinci's free too, which was pretty cool. It just as soon as I got into it, I opened it up and I was like, I was so overwhelmed because there was like 4 different tabs, and then but once I watched a couple tutorials, it made a lot of sense. So, I'm looking forward to making the next video a little bit better. Streamlabs, okay, I'll have to look into that one too. Nice. Well, yeah, thanks for joining everybody, and I will catch you tomorrow. Peace.